How do you play the long game as an entrepreneur or as a content creator? We oftentimes study successful artists, content creators, entrepreneurs, and that's interesting. It's interesting to see what they do, but I think it's also very, very interesting to study downfalls of people who are very talented and who are at their peak, and then they fall off. Like, what happens? How come? And how can we avoid that as creators? So I know a person, and she was very, very successful like 12 years ago. She blew up on social media around 2013, 2014. She was pretty consistent. She was having a lot of fun with content creation. And then all of a sudden, 2013 and 2014, she blew up. And she amassed millions of followers. And she started making a lot of money. And life was really, really amazing. And then all of a sudden, and what she was doing was very interesting. What she was doing, she was sharing her wisdom. So in her content, she was sharing her wisdom, and it was basically her channeling her wisdom. So people ask a question, for example, and all of a sudden, God spoke through her. And it was almost like something magical. And then she had this profound insight, and she decided that it's time to take a break. She went to an event, and she started to listen to a guru, and listened a little bit too closely maybe to the guru, and then she had this profound insight that she had to take time off because whatever, I don't really remember, or I don't really know what exactly happened to her, but what I do know is then she took a break for like 6 months of social media, and within those 6 months she started studying. She started reading books, following other gurus, learning a lot. So she basically came from nothing, blew up to a couple million followers on social media, and then she had this profound insight that, she had to learn a little bit more. The wisdom that she was sharing on her social media, it didn't come from books. It didn't come from other YouTube videos. It didn't come from anything except from within. So she was sharing her wisdom from within. And when she took a break, she started to gain more knowledge. She thought she became wiser. She thought she became more profound. And she thought she became more deep, more in-depth. However, when she came back, she just missed that spark. She just didn't have it anymore. And people didn't really resonate that much with her anymore. And she didn't understand, because she learned so much and she gained so much knowledge. And so for the last 12 years, it's been a struggle for her. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it was so easy for her to gain millions of followers. And now it's very hard for her to make a living and to stay successful. So she sort of had a downfall as a creator. And she still can't really grasp what happened. I know many of these examples of people who really blew up, became really successful, and then all of a sudden there is this downfall. And oftentimes it can be because they have vices. Maybe they have an addiction, maybe they have low self-worth, maybe, they try to sabotage themselves because they don't think that they are worthy of all of this success. And I can talk about that for a long time. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about something very specific that if you really grasp this and if you really know this can be a ginormous breakthrough. Again, you can study success, but also it's very interesting to study downfalls. And this is a very particular thing that, again, if you really get this, it can be a ginormous breakthrough for you as a creator. And it's the following. I think there's a huge difference between wisdom and knowledge. So if I go back to the woman that I used to follow back in 2013, 2014, who had this downfall, she blew up and she really gained millions of followers because she was sharing her wisdom. It was her wisdom, it was her truth. And then for whatever reason, and I don't know the reason, but for whatever reason, she started learning again and she gained a lot of knowledge. So instead of her teaching her wisdom, she started teaching the knowledge that she read from books or learned from gurus or whatever. And all of a sudden, she also became sort of like polarizing. So she had this newly installed beliefs that weren't her beliefs, but it was installed because of information. And this is, again, the information is knowledge, but it's not necessarily wisdom. You can read 100 books and you can have a lot of knowledge, but still not really have wisdom. And of course people say like, oh, you have to apply knowledge to gain wisdom. Maybe, but sometimes we do have a lot of wisdom within, and we can trust that as well. It's infinite, like whatever is in us, for a lot of us, for a lot of creators, it's infinite. It flows through us. And what happens when you gain too much knowledge, actually, you put rocks in the river, and the river is not flowing anymore. It's sort of like stopping, and it's not like really doing what it's supposed to do, flow. So if you know that you're a creative, if you know that you have a lot of wisdom, if you know that you have a really sharp intuition, if you know that you really have a deep knowing, why don't you just trust that? Why don't you just trust that and speak from there instead of gaining all this information? What's happening, and especially in the last couple of years, and this is going to be a bit noisy because we're walking in Beverly Hills, and it's fun. People have a lot of fun here. Wow, okay. Good vibes only. And we're not going to edit anything. This is awesome. So we're actually walking from West Hollywood all the way to Venice. It's a 4-hour walk. I love long walks. And I was just talking to Jeffrey, my right hand. It's like, how cool is it that in a year we will have like 365 videos, long form videos like these, where I share my wisdom, not my knowledge, but my wisdom. And it's just me walking the world. I love walking. So we have all the wisdom within, and but then we add rocks. We add rocks to the river. So we read a new book, and that's a rock to the river. Or maybe we listen to a podcast, and we add a rock to the river. Or maybe you go really in depth with a certain conspiracy, and that's a rock in the river. And the thing is that...
Psychotic bitch.
Hoor je het even, Danny? I think she was right, actually. Hopefully the mic caught it, because I think she's right, Danny. But so let's say you have a lot of wisdom, and you share the wisdom, and then all of a sudden, just a practical example, all of a sudden you have this insight like, oh wow, the world is a bad place, and I become a Democrat, or I become a Republican, doesn't matter. And I start to listen to I don't want to make this political, but it's just an example, and it's not about left or right, it's just an example. But let's say I used to be a little bit in the middle. I didn't really study politics. I just trusted my intuition, my wisdom. I had an amazing life, but then all of a sudden I started to really dig deep on politics and geopolitics and history and all that stuff. And I start to listen to, let's say, a right-wing podcast. And then all of a sudden I'm in this algorithm of right-wingers. And you know, the more I listen to it and the more I watch it and the more I consume it, the more it becomes a part of my system. And I can't help myself. Whenever I'm making content, I have to speak out, because what I've learned from all these podcasts and all these books and all these articles and, you know, what I've been consuming all day on x.com, like, it's just, I'm just furious. Like, this is important. Like, I have to speak my truth. So I'm speaking my truth about what I just learned about whatever the world is like. So I start to teach that. I'm starting to speak that truth, and I get a lot of response. A lot of people comment. We're fighting together. And the same could go, like, if you're left wing, doesn't really matter. Like, it's just an example. What happens is, first of all, it's probably not your wisdom, it's knowledge. You gain information and all of a sudden you want to share that information instead of, like, sharing the knowledge. And second of all, a lot of people respond, so you get a lot of feedback, and it's very triggering. It's triggering for you, it's triggering for other people, so it's very hard to just leave it there. If you drop wisdom, if you speak from your heart, speak from your intuition, you can just put it online and forget about it. But if you are triggering and if you're polarizing, yeah, well, then you have to check the comments, and then it gets heated. But you feel like this is the right thing to do because you're almost like angry. And also, it feels important. And all of a sudden you lose like 50+% of all your audience because a lot of people, they don't agree with you. And then you might lose another 30% because a lot of people, they just don't want this political bullshit. I'm not saying this is not about politics. This is not about politics. This could be anything. It could be about anything. So anyway, the invitation is to speak your truth, but speak your truth, not other people's truth. And if you speak your truth, then people resonate with that and people can learn from that. No need to share information that you just learn on x.com or whatever platform or whatever book. And if you want to, do your thing. If that's your truth, then that's your truth. But I do see, and I know many examples of content creators who were so successful, but also artists who were so successful. They were in flow, or they were creating, and it was just, they had a certain freedom vibes around them. And it was liberating to see them. And all of a sudden they got stuck in their head because they got all this information that they want to share, that they just learned. So who would you be as a creator? Who would you be as an artist if you made the decision to not consume anything anymore? If all you want to do, or all you're doing, is just putting your stuff, your intuition, your wisdom out there, and your energy out there, your pure energy. I say this more often, is that you and your most pure energy is the most beautiful thing there is. And if you can share that with the world instead of the noisy energy or the noisy frequency, I think you have a really big shot at winning. However, if you just are that person who's just pooping out other people's knowledge, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard, because then you sort of become a commodity. And so that's sort of my inspiration with this YouTube channel. My inspiration with this YouTube channel is to share my wisdom, but also my energy and my frequency. And I know, I'm very much aware that I can share so many tips, so many ideas that I've learned through the years, and I will share a lot of ideas and a lot of tips on this YouTube channel. But my primary inspiration for this YouTube channel is to share me with the world and my ideas and my inspiration and my frequency. And hopefully that's inspiring to you and you get something out of it. It's all about freedom. You want to be free. You want to be you. And you want to dissolve anything that's not you, so you become more and more you. And what you also want to do, if you would ask me, is get out of the algorithm. Get out of your algorithm. Unsubscribe from everything. Stop following everybody and start listening to your own intuition again, because that's where the goal is. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to go to another level, I call this bar raisers, if you want to raise the bar, and you would be like, would be interesting to have a conversation with Eelco, with me. to really have a big vision conversation. What I do with entrepreneurs is I sit down with them and we take the time, we really take the time. It's not a 30-minute conversation, we really take the time to figure out, like, who are you really, and what would be unbelievable for you, what would be amazing for you. And oftentimes during those conversations, people go more in depth than they've ever done before, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're not really seen by people around them. But if we would have a conversation, a one-on-one conversation, like what could we uncover, and what type of big visions could we create together? So I'm just starting out with this channel. I don't know when you see this video, but I'm opening up spots for one-on-one big vision conversations for free right now. So we have a link in the description on YouTube, and you can actually send us a message or fill in the form or whatever. I don't exactly know how we're going to do this. And you can apply for a one-on-one conversation with me. And just FYI, usually these conversations, when I've done them in Dutch for my Dutch audience, they were from 8,000 euros per conversation. And because I'm starting over internationally, I would invite you to fill in the form or do whatever we ask you to do. And we can actually have a real one-on-one conversation where we really go in depth, and I call these big vision conversations. And you can get it for free. So if you're a 7-figure entrepreneur, 7 or 8-figure entrepreneur, fill in the form, do your thing or whatever, and you can apply for a big vision call with me personally, or if it's too busy or I'm not available, you can have a one-on-one big vision call with my main man Jeffrey over here, who is my right hand in business, and he's a genius, big thinker as well. So yeah, click on the link or whatever, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and send me the word bar raiser. So send me the word bar raiser on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @Eelco de Boer, and you can get access to a one-on-one conversation with me or with Jeffrey. I probably will do the conversation walking, because again, like, I love walking, and we'll walk together. You can go for a walk as well, and we'll have an amazing conversation that could really and literally change your life. So yeah, I'm thinking, like, what would be an amazing video for you to check after this video? Do you have a suggestion, Jeffrey, or no? What's the last one we saw? What's the one on? What's the one we uploaded today? I'm shooting from the hip here. Okay, I just shared that Jeffrey was really smart, but maybe. You know what? Just click here. Just click here. It's an amazing video that we have for you. I would love for you to just keep the flow going. Just click here and send me the message, bar raises, but click here, and see you in another video. Much love.